Caucus of Parliament, the special prosecutor determines that the institution of criminal proceedings at this time against the OSP's identified suspect will serve no useful purpose. The investigations may be reopened should the circumstances and further facts so dictate. In view of this, the Office of the Special Prosecutor is indeed commending the Office of the Speaker of Parliament and all other actors that were cooperating with his office when the investigations commenced. But as of now, it has been confirmed that yes, there was bribery or an attempt at bribery, except to say that the Office of the Special Prosecutor cannot proceed with the case now. Let's speak to one man who was very much vocal at the time when all of this emerged. Mohammed Mutala Ibrahim is joining us. His Tamale Central MP also has some concerns about what's happening now. And I recall, Honorable MP, first of all, Happy New Year to you. I recall when all of this started, you raised concerns that this investigations was not going to end anywhere.
Well, good afternoon and good afternoon to your cherished viewers and Happy New Year. You know, at the time I knew that my good friend, Honorable Andia Piakubi, and the 90 members, or the so-called 90 members of the NPP in Parliament, which subsequently became the entire group of the NPP members in Parliament, were just pretenders. For me, it is disgraceful, it is shameful that you have a sitting member of Parliament who alleged, I guess, on your platform, that a businessman came to meet them and attempted to bribe them. Nobody forced my good friend to make that statement. Nobody was holding a dagger behind him, threatening him to make the statement unless he will be killed. He made that statement. Hello?
I'm with you, sir.
Hello?
We just lost you briefly. If you could just make that statement again. Yes.
Remember when he made that statement? I said he made that statement because they knew that some of us had some information that there was an attempt to bribe them. I said this on your program. So it was not to demonstrate independent mindedness. As a member of Parliament in a caucus, he was making that statement to preempt the information some of us had, that there was an attempted bribery of the NPP caucus in Parliament. Now, if he made that statement, and the Office of the Special Prosecutor is investigating a matter, what is your beef? You remember when the statement was also made that they rejected the bribe, and also when they came out and insisted that the Minister for Finance be forced to resign or sacked. People who work on democratic governance hailed them. At that time, I had senior lecturers on the campus of University of Ghana who hailed them and said that our democracy was indeed growing bounds and leaps. Unfortunately, what they have demonstrated is once again a weakness shown by the legislative arm of our government architecture. And that for me is extremely worrying. Now the question is, what motivated or influenced that so-called businessman to attempt to bribe them? Was the businessman attempting to bribe them for and on behalf of the Minister for Finance, whose dismissal the NPP members of Parliament agitated for? Or was he attempting to bribe them for a specific interest? Now, what it simply means is that anybody, particularly the NPP caucus, can be bribed. Clearly, that is what it means.
Is it as simple as that? This, for Sam, is an indictment not just on the majority caucus, but also the entire House and how you conduct your business. I recall that, yes, indeed, as the minority, you triggered some processes in Parliament, but that was not fruitful as well. So it's not a simple... Yes.
You can't bring the NDC members of Parliament on this corrupt act demonstrated and lack of independence by our friends on the other side of the aisle. The NDC members of Parliament have nothing to do with this. We were not those who said that if the minister didn't resign, we were going to take action. Remember, when the NDC moved a motion on the floor of Parliament, and we're expecting our colleagues from the NPP side to support that motion, that a motion of censure, the NPP preempted that motion of censure by holding the press conference they held. If you remember quite well, that morning I granted interview, I guess to your station. The morning they had the press conference, I said that the NPP knew that we're going to come to Parliament with a motion of censure because this was already captured in the other paper. So that press conference they held, demanding the removal or the resignation of the Minister for Finance, was done to preempt what we're going to do because they knew we were going to do that because it was already captured in the other paper of Parliament. So when they did that, they felt that the NDC didn't need to take a shine. As a matter of fact, our interest was not a shine. We were demanding that the man was incapable, was unfit, and he's still unfit to occupy the office of the Minister for Finance. The only reason why he had remained the Minister for Finance is because he uses Oforiata and nothing else. Mind you, he is the only minister whose appointment was waiting for him, even when he was not well. When he was not well, what did the president tell us? I remember on your program, PM Express, one night, I was there with my good friend, Honorable the Subin MP, Honorable Eugene, and he said that they were invited by the presidency. And when they went there, in fact, he said that when they met the majority leader promised that he was going to meet the president. And then subsequently, when the majority leader met them, he said he met the president, and there was nothing positive coming out of it. Subsequently, the office of the president itself said that they were going to take action on their demand. Everything they did, from the Flagstaff House to the majority caucus in Parliament, the NPP members, and that charade of a press conference they held was to deceive the people of this country into believing that they actually meant what they were doing. It was staged, completely staged. Fortunately, my good friend, Honorable Ndiapi Akubi, and the other members of Parliament have been actively participating in this embarrassing stage, demanding that the man be removed.
Okay, so let's look at the way forward now. What would you expect from the Speaker of Parliament? The question as to whether or not a parliamentary probe should be triggered at this point, because the OSP was instructive that indeed a wealthy man attempted to bribe some of the majority members of the House. Now he's confirmed that, except to say the individuals involved would not cooperate. You have the power in Parliament to at least trigger a parliamentary probe into this, because it's casting a slur on the entire membership of the House and not just the majority side.
Hello?
Yes, I'm asking if you would want to trigger yeah.
Must we even be going to Parliament? Is the office of the Special Prosecutor not having the mandate and the power to demand response from Honorable Ndiapi Akubi and those who made those allegations? Because we are talking of corruption here. And that is where I have a little problem with the office of the Special Prosecutor. They refuse to cooperate. Don't they have the powers of a high court? If they do not, then I stand to be corrected. So the fact that someone is refusing to cooperate on an allegation that he himself made on national television, that ends the story. I'm a bit disappointed. The office of the Special Prosecutor, as far as I'm concerned, has the power to force him to provide the evidence. Has the power to do so. So if Parliament is to take this, what are we going to do? In terms of investigation on matters of corruption between the office of the Special Prosecutor and Parliament, which of these institutions is properly placed to conduct investigation in matters such as this? So first and foremost, the allegation or the investigation is not saying that you took any bribe. You claim that there was an attempted bribe on your members. The NPP caucus, they are so cheap. They are so cheap that a businessman can attempt to bribe them. Now, the Office of the Special Prosecutor is not saying we are prosecuting you, but we want to know that businessman so that the proper investigation could be conducted, because bribe or attempted bribe are all crimes. Now, you are unwilling to do so. I can only guess that perhaps they announced that they were not willing to, they refused to take this money, and perhaps would have gone back to take the money. Because if they didn't go back to take the money, why are they so scared? Why is he so scared to mention the name of the businessman? A businessman attempting to bribe members of parliament, a whole caucus. And you refuse it. You didn't even report that businessman to the police. You didn't do anything. And the reasons why you held the press conference and made those demands.
So finally, what should this mean?
And made those demands.
So finally, what should this mean what should this mean to the call, Honorable Mutala Mohammed? What should this mean to the call for the removal of the finance minister now, knowing that this report is out and indeed it is now confirmed that attempts were made some way somehow to influence the majority caucus? Would this renew the calls for his removal?
You remember when they held that press conference and this brouhaha that came up about, and also the subsequent information we got that the man was going to be removed. I told you on your program, that Mr. Kenoforiata was not moving an inch. The man is more powerful than President Nana Addo. That is the fact. He is more powerful. Tell me one success story this man can tell as far as managing the finances of this country is concerned. Inflation disaster, debt to GDP disaster, prices of items, everything is in a mess. And this same man, look at the amount of money he's spending in building new offices. $250 million, Bank of Ghana office. You have another GRE, $279 million everywhere. So tell me one success story. The man was appointed to aid the looting of this government, particularly the Oforiates. And that is why I say that he is only the Minister for Finance and remain the Minister for Finance because he uses Oforiata and nothing else.
Okay.
This man is not moving an inch. I said he wasn't moving an inch. You remember I said he wasn't moving an inch? He's not moving an inch. The only reason why this man may go is when he decides that I'm going now. Nothing can push him away. He's more powerful than President Nana Addo.
Well, I'm not too sure of that. You are saying that. We'll take your word for it.
Blessed. Than President Nana Addo, blessed. His ministerial position was waiting for him. Was waiting for him. Even when he was not well, it was waiting for him. Have you ever seen that in this country? That someone's position is waiting for him.
Okay.
So if I say more powerful than the president, you think it's a joke?
Well, we're grateful for your time, Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed. He is Tamale Central MP, and Happy New Year to you. Thanks for joining us. Well, still on corruption, President Akufo-Addo is now facing criticism for contracting private firm KPMG to audit the contractual agreements between the Ghana Revenue Authority and Strategic Mobilization Limited, SML, instead of opting for constitutional bodies such as the Office of the Special Prosecutor or even the Attorney General. Critics argue that KPMG lacks that proper, credibility to investigate this matter. The directive, as we know, follows the documentary titled The 3 Billion CD Lie by the Fourth Estate, alleging that a $100 million annual contract awarded to SML for monitoring the petroleum industry is not only a duplication, but does not constitute revenue saving in their view. Well, here's investigative journalist and producer of that very documentary, Manasseh Azuri Awini, questioning why the president failed to take some punitive action in the face of glaring evidence that this documentary presented before him.
Yes, the special prosecutor should go into it. Parliament wants to go into it. But if the president wants to act at this stage, there is enough evidence to have taken certain actions without this auditing. The question is, in 2 weeks, what will KPMG be able to cover? It took us about a year to do this investigation. And I don't say that anybody that goes on a lot of the work already. But in 2 weeks, will KPMG be able to speak to all the interested parties, interview relevant players, including independent people who have knowledge of this technical subject matter? Will it be able to visit the NPA, look at the structure they have, go to the depots, visit SML, and all cover every other part? They say they should go to the oil production sector upstream. Are they going to go to the drill ships to find out, okay, what, or the oil ships where we produce oil to find out the system that are already in place? Are they going to go to the gold mining companies to look at the setups, the gold rooms, to see what the PPMC and GRA officials, their roles in the various mining sectors? So the question really is, if you're giving someone 2 weeks to come out with this, what you call an audit, not an investigation, it might as well perhaps rely mainly on the administrative processes. Did this contract follow due procedure? Yes, they say, well, it went through PPA approval and all of that, but we know some of the most fraudulent deals in this country have the backing of the Public Procurement Authority, and the PPA itself was caught in a scandal. So we may end up ticking the administrative boxes and going through documents and perhaps not getting to the bottom of this. And that is what I am wondering, what the end game of the president is. Are we going to see what the so-called clearinghouse thing, or the president really wants to act? So as to whether they will do a good job or not, or whatever will come out of it, we are all going to be monitoring, because the issues are out there. And the question we are asking is, as we stand, SML Ghana has been given a contract that will ensure that every liter of fuel that is consumed in Ghana, the company has a percentage that where they will receive as money. Every barrel of fuel that will be produced in Ghana, SML would have a percentage. Every ounce of gold that is produced in Ghana, this company will have a percentage. And at the end of the day, it is entitled to over $100 million every single year. That is 1.2 billion Ghana cedis every year. The question is, what is this company doing to deserve this?
Well, very interesting questions by Manasseh Azuria-Winnie. Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament is describing this move as an attempt to only whitewash the outcome of the investigation. So on Twitter, the minority leader, Dr. Kaysel Atufosin, explaining what possibly might be informing this, and we'll be getting some reactions to this shortly. It reads that President Akufo-Addo's appointment of KPMG to audit the so-called Revenue Assurance Agreement between the Ghana Revenue Authority and Strategic Mobilization Limited, SML, has come too late in the day. Parliament has already directed the Finance Committee to audit the infamous agreement, and the committee is actively seized with this matter. The president, who should have led this fight in the wake of the scandal, is playing catch-up, since Parliament has also directed the Ghana Revenue Authority to suspend all payments to the company, that's SML. This whitewashing attempt by the president in the name of audit will not dissuade Parliament from looking into this matter to stop the siphoning of state resources into the private pockets of government officials and their crony business partners. Joining us now is Joseph Dindiok Penka, former Attorney General, who's joining the conversation. Thank you so much, sir, for spending some time with us here on the polls. First of all, your take on what it is that the minority believes this is an attempt to whitewash. What's the legal remit, speaking sincerely, about the position SML holds now in terms of their findings, their outcomes, and the implications on the way forward? And kindly unmute for us so that we can hear the points you're sharing with us.
Yes, thanks to you for this opportunity to have this conversation with you and your cherished viewers across the globe. My brother, I have listened carefully to your intro, and I also listened to the release by the Honorable Atu Forson. And I want to state here and at the beginning and at this particular stage, without equivocation, that there are processes for resolution of disputes as far as architecture is concerned as a civilized society. You know, in our constitutional architecture and etc., yes, it is true that when suspected crimes are reported, you make reference to the police or IUCO or the Office of Special Prosecutor or any other investigative body to investigate and unravel whether or not acts of criminality have been committed. Even in some cases, you can make reference to SHRAJ and etc. I do agree that these are all possible ways of resolving this. The president has directed that an audit be conducted. And so you have to look at it within the remits of what is an audit. And the audit is going to establish whether or not the procedure and processes leading to the contract, and then whatever has been consummated and etc., whether there are irregularities or acts that need further investigation to unravel whether crime has been committed. That's the purpose. When an audit is actually conducted by the Auditor General, eventually it is fed to the public, and they will make an assessment. And where crime is established, it is referred to appropriate bodies for investigation. So what His Excellency the President has done is simple. KPMG is a reputed organization, and we all know that. What they are going to do is to establish the facts as they are. And if in their investigation they establish acts of criminality and etc., it goes beyond their remit and it goes beyond their purview. And there is reference made to the president, who would then have to necessarily refer him to an investigative body, i.e. the Office of the Attorney General or the Special Prosecutor or the police or IUCO, etc. Anybody, reputable constitutional body that can investigate and establish the veracity or otherwise of the establishment of crime would then trigger the processes. If KPMG establishes that indeed some acts of impropriety have been committed.
Okay, so for you,
there's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
This is more of a fact-finding mission in your view.
Absolutely. KPMG does not have the power to punish anybody. It doesn't. It's a fact-finding. So when they establish the facts, and among the facts, they establish that acts of impropriety have...
Yes, if you could take that point from me again, yes.
At that particular stage, reference would then be made to any of the constitutional bodies to trigger investigation, and where crime is actually established, the appropriate charges are actually preferred against appropriate persons, and they are put before a competent court. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with it to say that KPMG's investigation is much ado about nothing. I disagree with that. What rather we should be interested in is the product of what comes out of the investigation of KPMG. As a public, we should be interested in that. And when His Excellency the President receives it, it should be put in the public domain for us to look at it. And if anything has been established, then even if His Excellency the President does not make reference to a constitutional body to trigger criminal investigations and etc., an ordinary citizen can then make a complaint on the basis of the content of that investigation or fact finding. And then when it is established, then the processes are triggered to ensure that whoever is culpable is punished in accord with law.
In fact, a number of Ghanaians have been sharing their views on this, including the former Auditor General, Daniel Yao-Domelevo. Fortunately, he's also joining the conversation. Honorable Dim Diokpem, just hold on for me briefly. Let's also bring him in. And Daniel Yao-Domelevo, Happy New Year to you as well, and thanks for joining us. You had the former Deputy Attorney General there expressing the view that this is more of a fact-finding mission. Why not perhaps hold on, look at the outcome, and then we could proceed from there and say, well, these are the findings, let's prosecute or otherwise?
Thank you very much, and Happy New Year to you and all the members of your panel. I've not seen some of them for a very long time.
you miss those days, I guess.
Yes. Let me say that I disagree with the Honorable former Deputy Minister of Justice on his approach. We must understand the fact that we rule this country within a legal framework, and thankfully, he is a lawyer. The supreme law of this country has established for us the Office of the Auditor General, seized with the mandate to audit the entire public service, including Ghana Revenue Authority. Beyond that, a law has been promulgated to establish Office of the Special Prosecutor. Before then, we had Yoko, and even in the Constitution, we also have charge, etc. An investigation has been done. And if we are not satisfied with the findings of the investigation, and we want to do further work, be it an audit or an investigation, we have sufficient institutions or institutions existing already on the consolidated fund. Let me draw attention here. What pains me about government is the fact that whenever there is a wastage or a reported wastage, they waste more money, which are not necessary. Why will the president not activate Article 187 Clause 8? He's a lawyer, you should look at it. Article 187 Clause 8 provides that in the national interest, the president, with advice from the Council of State, may ask the Auditor General to conduct an audit. So why will the president not just refer this to the Auditor General? Because if the Auditor General is looking at all those things, he is seized with the power to even disallow the transaction. And if payments have been done unlawfully, he has the power under Article 187 Clause 7B to disallow and surcharge, and that will serve our interests better than going
but
for.
Let me ask: is it the case that there's no room? There's no room. Perhaps say KPMG does its independent audit and submits perhaps the findings to the Auditor General to exact action on. Is that a misnomer?
It's a serious misnomer because Auditor General has that mandate already. Yoko has a mandate already. OSP has a mandate already. Unless the Auditor General tells us that they don't have the capability or the capacity to do this. Let me give you an example. When I was Auditor General, immediately I came to office. The same pressure was put on for the audit of the medical stores, the central medical stores. If you remember the central medical stores, it is the same KPMG who did that audit. Where is the report up to today? Nothing was found. In fact, I referred that report to Gloria Akufu. And Gloria Akufu came back and said that he cannot use this report. In fact, it pained me that that audit was given to KPMG because I think the auditors may do far better than what KPMG did. So when we are being told that the reputable, what makes KPMG the reputable? There are several other reputable firms. So you should have said one of the reputable, but not the reputable. So it is just to throw dust into our eyes, and then they can give the contract to KPMG at the end of the day. Mark my words, nothing will come out of this.
And is that not prejudice to say that, well, nothing will come out from
of course, yes, that I've seen a lot of them. You too have seen a lot of them. A lot of investigations have come. At the end of the day, what happens? We don't see anything. But the point I'm making is that at the minimum, the Auditor General, when he comes across unlawful transactions or payments which are contrary to law, has the mandate to at least stop it or surcharge so that we can get something out of it. But it is passing a different way. You want the KPMG to finish and now give it to the Auditor General. Did the Auditor General tell you that he doesn't have the capacity or the ability to do the audit? So to me, I don't see.
Okay, there's one more question I'll put to you shortly. The issue about what Manasseh has been talking about, that there is enough evidence, at least for now, for the president to exact sanctions or for some surcharge of a sort to take place. I'll take your thoughts on that shortly, but I just want us to clear the constitutionality out of the way. Joseph Dindiok Pemka, the point about what the Constitution says and the powers given to the Auditor General. You have the former Auditor General pointing out that clearly there's a constitutional provision. The audit service should be looking into this.
Is there any provision in the Constitution or any other law that also says that contracting an independent firm to audit a particular entity or establishment is unlawful and unconstitutional? Is there?
But which one is proper to you? I mean, if you were managing the state, you spend money contracting a private firm to do an investigation when you have a state agency.
You see, I am saying that my brother, in making his statement, marked me wrong and said he didn't agree with my approach. I'm saying that is there any law to the best of his knowledge and belief, or both. That says that contracting an independent auditing firm to audit a state entity is unlawful and unconstitutional. If there is, it should be pointed out to me. You see, in talking about procedure, you may have your choice of procedure. Another person has his choice of procedure. And I've stated to you that if KPMG comes up with a report, myself and you will have that report and we'll critique it. And if we find in that report acts of criminality or suspected acts of criminality, and it is not referred to a constitutional body for investigation and prosecution, we as citizens can trigger investigation into the matter by a state entity.
Let's look at precedents then. The president has, on a number of cases, referred some of his own appointees to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. He's done that before. In other cases, he's referred to other constitutional bodies. Why is it the case that in this matter, the SML contract, which involves the finance minister, he's referring it to another institution?
Let me tell you this. First of all, you keep referring to it appropriately. You keep referring to it appropriately as a contract. This is a contract that exists between the entity and the state. And if there is a contract that exists between the entity and the state, then there is no appropriate entity than an auditing firm, a reputed auditing firm that is invited to make an assessment and do an opinion.
And not the audit, and not the audit service. And not the audit service.
There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm not saying that KPMG is the only entity in Ghana. I'm saying it is one of. There are many entities. Yes, of course, we agree. But I'm saying that, you see, where I think we should fault the president is if the report comes out from KPMG and clearly indicts the process and then the happenings leading to during and then after the consummation of the contract, that indeed certain persons have been indicted by their overt and covert acts in carrying out or consummating this particular contract, and therefore acts of criminality have been committed as a result of their conduct. Then the process will then be triggered there, and the constitutional body will come in and take it up to ensure that the appropriate things are done and punishment is exacted to persons who are supposed to suffer punishment. But at this particular stage, KPMG, as we all know, has no mandate whatsoever to exact punishment. It's a fact-finding one. And when the facts are found, they cannot be hidden. It will become a public document. I'm saying that if it becomes a public document and acts of criminality are committed, we have the mandate as Ghanaians, if the president doesn't refer it to a constitutional body for investigation, for us to trigger the processes. But to rubbish what has happened, as though it is not one of the processes available that one can choose to actually ensure that justice is carried out and then audit is done to ascertain the veracity or otherwise of the commission of crime, is unfortunate.
Okay.
It is true. We could just have triggered the process in the constitution and then the processes in Article 87, and then we go ahead from there to do the investigation and establish crime or not, surcharge and etc. I agree that is one of the ways. But making KPMG investigate and later on come out with a report for you to further refer to is also another way. So you cannot say that the strict jacket, this is the only way we must go. The other ways are not tenable. You can't say so.
I get that. Just conclude on that for me.
I'm saying that the president has chosen a particular leg.
I see. Here's what
will be the outcome. Rather jumping into conclusion and saying that a much ado about nothing, and then that nothing will come out of it. I mean, that's prejudice. And an unfair this and that.
All right.
Let us rather wait things slowly and give the benefit of the doubt to the president so that he goes through his process. At the end, we can critique and say that, well, we had said that he should have done A or B. He didn't do. He went this way. It didn't work. Or we say, hey, Mr. President, thank you. You went through this. You've been able to establish what is just to Ghanaians.
All right.
So let's wait and see for me and give the president the benefit of the doubt for that body to establish whether or not crime has been committed.
Granted on that. But the point about what has been established so far in this documentary, and that's the next phase of conversation I want us to have. Let me start off with you, Mr. Daniel Domela, for the point about what Manasseh is referring to, that he has indeed uncovered a number of practices that should have been punished by the president already. Do you see any, looking at what it is that his story is about, his investigations have uncovered?
Yes, I've heard Manasseh, but I've not seen the evidence. So I cannot say that, yes, there is evidence or there are no evidence. But the long and short of it is that Honorable Kwenka knows that it's a matter of choice, but it's not all the choices which are value for money. We are talking about value for money. We should stop wasting government public resources by making choices which are so expensive and time wasting. When we are fighting corruption, we must go straight and direct to the point. If it is anything to go by, what Manasseh has already said, there's evidence. So Auditor General is seized with Section 16 of the Audit Service Act. He can do a special review.
In fact, I was about asking you that question, that would you want, and of course we know that he's not subject to the control of anybody now, but would you want to see him trigger some independent or perhaps another audit into this while KPMG runs this?
There are three options. The Auditor General himself, under Section 16 of the Audit Service Act, on his own will, can decide to look at it in the national interest. Again, the Audit Service Act provides that the Parliament can also ask the Auditor General to do a similar exercise. The Constitution and Article 187, Clause 8 of Article 187 provides that the President can ask the Auditor General to do this. Why that is a preferred route for me is that the Auditor General, and let me remind our honorable friend, that the investigation may not come out with a criminality per se. There may be illegality, but not a criminality. They may not comply with the laws of procurement, etc., but it may not necessarily be a criminality. So disallowance and surcharge is a civil right which is provided under the Constitution, which the Auditor General can exercise to save us money, even if the person is not going to be prosecuted. Now, what is going to happen if the report comes out and there are issues to be disallowed and surcharged? Now we are going to throw that to the Auditor General and say, look, an audit firm has done this work and these are the findings. So use it and disallow and surcharge. Well, the Auditor General may accept and do it. He may also say, oh, look, I'm not interested in doing it. So I don't know why we want to beat around the bush as if we don't have limited resources. We need money to run this country. And when there are established institutions who are already subsisting on public funds, why do you want to go for a private company? Then let's collapse audit firms. Auditor General's office, so that we can go for your private firms. The choice of private firms to do work which already the law has given to public institutions is a bit disturbing, to say the least, my brother. You are asking me whether any law prohibits. No law prohibits that. There are several laws encouraging or providing for. The law does not say president cannot engage a private firm, but there's so many laws, from the Constitution to the Audit Service Act to the PFM Act, etc., including procurement law itself. If there are procurement breaches, and let me also explain, being a former Auditor General, one thing which worries me anytime they bring private audit firms to come and do this type of assignment is that they are not very conversant with the rules in the public service. They are not. We assume that they are professional accountants, and so anytime I meet them, I tell them that public financial management is premised or guided strictly by law.
Right. And
they are not conversant with these laws. So if we go into the procurement aspect, they may come and say, yes, there is approval from the Public Procurement Authority, for instance. But me, when you tell me there is approval from Public Procurement Authority, I will look at whether the approval is in line with Section 66(3) of the Public Procurement Act. Many times the private the private auditors, once they see approval, they are happy. They think it is okay. Right. But I disagree with those type of approvals. So let us not assume that we don't understand these rules of the game. If it is for nothing that we establish the Office of the Auditor General, the OSP, as well as the YOCO, then let's collapse them. And then you use your private firms. But this, to me, is unnecessary wastage of public funds.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, too. And for you, Joseph Nindi-Okpenka, the way forward, Manasseh arguing that, in fact, there is enough evidence to proceed with some punitive measures, even as we, go with the KPMG report and await the outcome.
Enough evidence established by who? Manasseh Azuri is not a state.
By the fourth estate, yes.
No, Manasseh Azuri is not a state entity. He's not an investigative body. He's not known by the law. So what the evidence he has, he can only be a witness at least if the state decides to mount prosecution. That is, if criminality has been convicted, against, the persons that he, Manasseh Azure, thinks that they are actually culpable. If we reach that particular stage, he will simply be a witness. But to establish whether or not a case has been made and to prefer charges against individuals and persons must be determined by a constitutional body, not individuals. It is determined by the Office of Attorney General. It can be determined by the Special Prosecutor or any other state entity that has been mandated by law to commit or try to investigate any matter that comes before it. So what he has is simply evidence the state can use, but it is not sufficient. And remember that the determination, if you look at Article 88 of our Constitution, is very clear that prosecution, the power to prosecute are solely in the hands of the Attorney General, and the Attorney General alone exercises that. But we've carved out a portion of that, that is corruption and corruption-related offenses, to the Office of Special Prosecutor. Then economic and organized crimes, we've carved out that, and we've asked that investigations be conducted by IOCO and reports submitted to Attorney General for assessment, and then other state entities. So in the end, what my brother Manasseh is holding, at best, can only be evidence for him to provide as a witness if a case is established by a state entity. But for now, because no state entity has investigated and come up with any sufficient evidence, I will consider at best what he's holding as some evidence that can only help the state in establishing a case, but not strictly that we have reached a stage where a crime has been committed by what he has investigated.
For now, the president has frozen the contract. Should we terminate?
Well, that would be, in my opinion, perhaps he's frozen it in anticipation of the report that will come out of KPMG. And if indeed it does indict the process and etc., the next step will be for him to abrogate. Well, and you remember that if a contract is actuated by fraud, then whatever it is that is standing on is vitiates everything. So if in the end it is actuated by fraud, the other side will have no right or remedy in a court of law if fraud is established against them. And I think that if we reach that stage, the president will have only one option, that is to order that it be terminated, and it will be done.
Okay, and that's where you, the lawyers, will continue the conversation from. But we're grateful for your time. Joseph Dindiok-Pemkat, former Deputy Attorney General, joining us, and also Daniel Yao Domelevo, former Auditor General, joining us. Happy New Year to all of you. We're taking a break here on the Pulse on the JoyNews channel. When we get back, we're looking ahead to that vetting process of the parliamentary aspirants of the new Patriotic Party. Quite a lot has been happening. We'll touch base with our correspondents across the country and also hear from John Mahama, who's delivering his New Year message. You want to hear that shortly.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see Sintex. Sintex.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Sintex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Sintex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Sintex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Sintex is the answer. Sintex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
And the election season is boiling already as some supporters of the New Patriotic Party have besieged and vandalized property of the governing NPP in Bimbilla as the vetting of aspirants in the constituencies begin today. The supporters led by the constituency organizer are alleging that attempts have been made to remove Alhaji Ahmed Nuhu Saruk, who is the only contender to the defense minister, Dominic Nitu, from the vetting process. The supporters destroyed lots of properties from the party office and bent tires at the premises to register their displeasure. Here, some of the irate youth in Bimbilla resisting alleged attempt to skew the elections, as they allege, in the favor of the defense minister.
No, we don't need him. We want the two of them to protect. What I want that's democratic. That's democracy. Really, the MP claimed that he's working for the constituency. Why is he running away from contest? If you say you are working for the people, you know you have the base air, the grounds. Why are you running away from the contest? From competition. We are in democracy system, and we have to come out and then choose whoever wins and will represent the party, and we will accept and support the person. Right now, we haven't gone to vetting, and we have already removed his name. And accepted on what basis? We want to know the reason why the name is.
Well, so some of the excerpts of the incident that transpired last night. As we speak to you, of course, there's a lot unfolding in the area. We'll be getting to that community shortly to bring you some updates. But let's switch over to the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, where there's quite a lot happening. And also, we understand that at the party's headquarters within Asukwa, there's been an address by the party. Nana Boachi Adam is there for us. Let's listen in.
Just now, I told the energy minister is that with us. Honorable, how was the process for you?
It's a party process we all have to follow.
And so generally, how was it, the process itself?
It was good.
But for the first time, people are quite surprised that Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh, you have people contesting with you.
The first time I was in Parliament, I was contested. The second time I was contested. It's only the third and fourth time that I wasn't. So I don't see the surprise.
And so going into 27th of January, how does it look like for Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh?
Very good.
And then subsequently to 7th December?
Wonderful. Extremely.
How does it look for your party? Are you breaking the 8?
Definitely.
But people are quite disturbed looking at the current economic situation.
People vote for other reasons apart from economy.
And so people are not going to look at the economic situation going into 2024?
People will compare between the candidates, their economic history and ours. So don't worry.
Does it look different from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and John Dramani Mahama?
Does one look different?
Does the work that they have done, former President John Mahama and Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, does it look different?
I think you have to compare John Mahama with Nanado.
Quite an instructive message there in terms of comparison between John Mahama and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And it's time now to cross over to the camp of the National Democratic Congress. We'll get back to the NPP because the former president and now flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, is delivering his New Year message.
We now know that drastic action is needed to reset our nation on the right path. That process must start in earnest with the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. We have a crucial election in December, and I'm happy to present myself as the man with the experience Ghana needs today to take us out of the doldrums that we have been plunged into. We require nothing short of a team of experienced Ghanaians committed to righting the wrongs of the last 7 years and working together with the citizenry to build the Ghana we want, a prosperous Ghana with many opportunities to benefit everyone without discrimination. As we start the journey in this new year, I'm here to offer hope to you all. I'm committed to repairing the damage done to our economy and creating a brighter future for all Ghanaians. We must all work together to bring about the change that Ghana so desperately needs. Let us stand united in our quest for a better future for ourselves and generations to come. This is because the heartbreaking tales of a significant population of our people giving up on Ghana due to this rudderless leadership are too many to recount and can be too costly to carry. But we are assured that no matter how long darkness reigns and darkens our hearts, our minds, our pockets, our businesses and investments, the sun will rise and shine even brighter. As a result, we can look forward to the new year 2024 with renewed hope and optimism. My brothers and sisters, I want to speak directly to you through this broadcast to share my vision for the future and outline some of my key interventions and initiatives. Initiatives that will help repair the damage to our economy, create well-paying jobs to fight the high 14% unemployment rate, and meet our youth's aspirations. These initiatives would also revamp businesses and productivity by implementing a 24-hour economy and build by technology and digital aspirations of our youth. My team and I, under the auspices of the National Democratic Congress, have developed a comprehensive plan which will be shared with businesses, academia, civil society, and the youth to create jobs and provide opportunity, and skills development. While providing jobs for the youth, we will also encourage business ownership and entrepreneurship amongst them. In April 2025, the new NDC government shall introduce a new budget to support as an incentive for job creation. At the heart of my vision for economic revitalization is the implementation of a 24-hour economy. This innovative policy seeks to maximize productivity and efficiency by extending business hours and operations around the clock. Doing so will create a more dynamic and vibrant economy that benefits workers and businesses. A 24-hour economy will increase economic output and create well-paying jobs. It will also contribute to a more inclusive and accessible society, giving people the flexibility to work, to study, to shop, and enjoy leisure activities at any time that suits them best. The 24-hour economy will succeed because we shall provide improved security and public safety, which will require massive recruitment into the security services and private security operations. My government will provide cheaper and more reliable electricity for those participating businesses based on a time of use tariff system. Companies that sign up for the 24-hour economy will benefit from modern smart meters calibrated to charge a lesser tariff per kilowatt hour for power that is consumed during off-peak hours. Businesses that subscribe to the 24-hour economic policy will receive further tax incentives to reduce the cost of their operations and enhance their competitiveness. Financing support will be provided to strategic agro-processing factories and manufacturing companies through the Ghana Exim Bank to boost production for import substitution and for exports. As president, I shall set up and personally chair an accelerated export development council to boost Ghana's export drive, especially under the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme and the African Continental Free Trade Area agreements. As the Trades Union Congress opined, the 24-hour economic policy is a game changer. Evidence suggests that running 24-hour economies has propelled many great nations, such as the United Kingdom, the United States of America, and South Korea. Indeed, South Korea is living proof that with the right leadership, a country can transform from underdeveloped to highly developed. It happened because in 1960, the leaders of that country took the strategic decision to turn it into an export-led economy, more precisely into an economy that grows by exporting manufactured goods. To do so, they transformed the economy into a 24-hour one. This initial boost in productivity and the determination to find more export markets turned that country into a highly advanced one. Their GDP per capita grew from $158 to $6,600. Introducing the Mahama 24-hour economy is the right thing to do for Ghana, especially considering the state of our country today. It will boost our manufacturing industry and transform our country into an export-led economy, providing the world with goods made in Ghana. Introducing the 24-hour economy will significantly increase the number of well-paying jobs available to our young people. This is extremely important because the young people are the ones who will build tomorrow's Ghana. Transforming Ghana into a 24-hour economy will increase the productivity of our industry, services, and agribusiness. And last but by no means the least, a 24-hour economy will offer Ghanaians increased
And apologies that we seem to have lost our connection to the New Year broadcast of the former President John Dramani Mahama, who's now the candidate of the National Democratic Congress, pointing out a number of issues, including the 24-hour economy, that I think we've restored connection now.
In modernizing this sector in order to maximize productivity and sustainability. By introducing well-established cooperatives, advanced farming techniques, embracing digital tools, and promoting agribusiness, we shall create new opportunities for farmers, improve food security, and bolster economic growth. I am determined to lead this transformation for the benefit of our nation and as a farmer myself. We'll also establish and deploy farmer service centers nationwide in all districts to make essential farming and attractive to younger people, younger Ghanaians especially. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to these interventions, I am also passionate about the fight against corruption and uprooting poor governance to ensure that our resources are used responsibly and ethically, building trust and confidence in our institutions. We will hold to account members of this administration who have abused the public trust by misconducting themselves in office. But more importantly, we would also allow unfettered space for the anti-corruption agencies to deal with anybody who abuses the public trust under my administration. By strengthening anti-corruption measures, promoting good governance, and upholding the rule of law, we shall create a fairer and more equitable society where everyone can thrive. We will reduce the size of government in our bid to cut down on expenditure. We will combine ministries and remove government agencies that are duplicating each other. In other words, we in government will also tighten our belts, even as we call on our people to make whatever sacrifices are necessary for our national revival. As we look forward to the year ahead, I want to assure you, the people of Ghana, that I'm fully committed on behalf of Ghana's most development-oriented political party, the NDC, to deliver on these promises I've made. Ladies and gentlemen, democracies cannot thrive without quality and trusted leadership. Economics cannot grow in the absence of quality and trusted leadership. Willing nations can only become great if they have quality and trusted leadership. When things are tough, true and trusted leaders set up a vision that inspires people and gives them hope. And this hope provides us with the strength we need to move forward. When hope is gone, the people who destroyed your hope must also go. They will go on December 7th, 2024. Without hope, danger lurks everywhere you turn. And this is why the fundamental duty of any true leader is to instill hope where there is none, or to revive it when it is gone. A true leader must cause positive change by example and action. I promise to lead the change, and I invite you to be part of the change. When times are tough, a true leader's fundamental duty is to develop a vision that inspires and brings people together. That is another reason I am offering myself and the NDC to you this year. By working together, we shall overcome our challenges and build a more prosperous and inclusive nation. I call on all of you to join me in this endeavor. Lend your support and actively engage with our outlined vision This call to national duty is bigger than any individual interest. Change is coming. I'm confident that together we will change the direction of this country this year on December 7th, 2024, and build a brighter future for Ghana, a future we all can be proud of. Let me assure you that your votes will count because we shall protect and secure them. Fellow Ghanaians, I thank you for your resilience, your strength, and your perseverance. Despite the difficulties we have faced, I am inspired by the undying spirit of our nation. In this new year, let us move forward with hope and determination, knowing that a better future is within our reach. Together, we shall build the Ghana we want, a prosperous and just Ghana filled with opportunities for all. Together, we shall build a Ghana that we all can be proud of. I'm ready to lead this charge, and I trust you will join me on this journey towards a brighter tomorrow. I thank you, and may God continue to bless our great nation, Ghana. I wish you all a very happy new year. Thank you.
The victory of Mahama.
Dramani Mahama delivering what he terms as a New Year message. Obviously, as a politician, he would lace that with what to expect later this year as the country heads to that crucial general elections for parliament.